I don't think it is, man.
I'm pretty sure it is, Bill. It can't record to your iPad.
Well, I've been able to record to my account for probably, or to the cloud for probably 9 months, but it says it's on, so let's see what happens.
Yeah, it says it will record. I tried it. There we go.
Okay.
Oh, you started it. Okay. Yeah.
It's recording now. I'll just edit this part out at the beginning. So there you go.
Okay. Okay, everyone that's joined, thanks for joining. We'll give it a couple more minutes. We normally give it till 4 or 5 minutes past to let everyone deal with the fact that they probably had to update WebEx or do something different that they're not used to because they're Teams or Zoom people, but we'll start in a couple of moments. Okay, I think we can start the recording for anyone that's late. So, welcome to the May office hours. We have an interesting topic around our OWL toolkit, which I believe Raju is going to take over from me in a second. But before that, I just wanted to advertise something that is really hot off the press. We only kind of agreed this and kicked off this for June yesterday, right? We got agreement from all the teams yesterday that need to support this. So we are going to do an upgrade weekend. If you're a Broadcom customer of other products, you may have gone through this with other products. So if you have, great, you know what we're talking about. If not, an upgrade weekend is where we man support and engineering to provide customers who have registered for extra support and advice around doing an upgrade. So for customers that want to get to 10.1 or 11, you can register. The URL's there. It's not very pretty. We'll also post this in the community site later today as well. But you can go on to that Google form and put your desire to be to be a participant in the upgrade weekend. Support will then reach out to you. They'll want to talk to you about what your plan is, what your target is, those kinds of things, give you advice up front. And then on the weekend of the 24th, 25th of June, there will be extra support available for you. So we get our level 2 engineers in, and everybody's ready for helping our customers with the upgrade process. So like I said, hot off the press, we'll be publicizing that a little bit more. I'm sure if you've registered on the support site for proactive notifications about the gateway, you'll be getting an email about that in the next few days as well. Any issues, give me a shout. If you can't find that link, or you have more questions about that, give me a shout. But I think that's a pretty cool thing, and hopefully that will help some of our customers move on to the latest and greatest versions of our product. So targeted for the gateway at the moment. We might do one for other products in the future, but gateway for now. So given a couple of other people time to join, I will hand over to Greg, who I think is going to introduce the topic, and then on to Raju, I think. Greg?
Yep, thanks, Aaron. Yeah, so we'll be covering the OAuth toolkit today as part of our office hours topic. So we have members from our engineering team on the call. So first off, we'll start off with just a kind of a general architecture refresh, and Kieran will be going over that for us. Then Abhishek will be helping us talk about customizations and showing some examples of how to leverage the customization framework within the OTK. And then Raju will actually wrap us up with just kind of a review of the financial API work that we've done and enabled within the OAuth toolkit. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kieran to kick us off.
Thank you, Greg. We're going to present. Anyone going to share the screen?
Oh, yeah, I can share that. 1 second. Everyone able to see that?
Yeah.
Good for me, Greg.
Okay.
Yeah, so as Greg said, we'll go through the architecture and then mostly we'll focus on the customizations. And then finally, we will do a quick intro into the financial grade API security profiles. It is a vast area, and if required, we will do a different office hours purely focusing on FAPI. So yeah, quick intro. The OTK or the solution kit that is it is designed to support OAuth 2.0, OpenID and OpenID Connect or the OIDC, and it is a flexible solution. So mostly coming in, getting in all the characteristics from the policy language that the gateway supports. As this with this it actually supports integrations with wide variety of identity providers um, uh, and other third-party applications that that are required during your authentication and authorization flows. So OTK in short leverages the gateway's ability to write the policies, to code the policies in a customizable manner. So if you look at OTK, I think 99% of it is all policy based, and we will be in the next releases. I think it will become 100% policy based solution. Can we move on to the next slide? Yeah. There are multiple ways in which the topology of OTK can be deployed. What we are looking at is the simple single instance deployment where you have a gateway running and on top of it you have the OTK solution kit installed. And the primary integrations that that are needed is okay. So so yeah. So and for any OAuth toolkit, any OpenID Connect, there should be an authenticator, and that you can integrate with multiple identity providers as you wish. And there are also couple of other integrations with based upon the OAuth toolkit. One is the APM portal. The portal integration for the portal published and the gateway published APIs needs a OAuth toolkit, and also MAG solution kit itself uses OAuth as a base. OTK policies as the base for its flows. So couple of ways, there are multiple ways to install the OTK solution kit. One is through policy manager, a typical solution kit installation, and then the headless way is using the RESTman. Using the RESTman API calls, you can install this, and leveraging the same thing we have in 4.6. We released a way to install the OTK using Helm charts. So we used to have OTK as a separate Helm chart, but now it's purely integrated as part of Gateway's Helm chart, and we can install using the Gateway's Helm chart itself with simple configuration in the values file. So let's move on to the next slide. So here we can see like the OTK itself is divided into two parts. One is the part of the solution kit is installed in the DMZ, and the other part is installed internal to the DMZ or the secured zone. So the reason for this is some of if for security. The token store is now purely securely behind the DMZ, and all the services that are and the minimal policies that are required to serve the external world are in the DMZ. So this gives nice segregation and added security of the deployment. Yeah, let's move on. Yeah. So at a high level, as I said, like OTK is policies, and we have all the policies segregated into sub solution kits or the bundles within the solution kit. And what you can see here is all the green boxes are the ones which are generally deployed in the DMZ. If you are is going with the installation where we want to segregate between DMZ and internal gateways. So, and all the ones which are in orange color are deployed in the DMZ. So if you and the other way of layering is you see at the bottom layer, you have the services, all the OAuth services and OpenID Connect services are there. And then there are some internal services which are to support the OAuth manager, the UI where the admins can manage and administer the OAuth toolkit, and then the test clients and OVP policy services. These are all internal services. These are all again are deployed internal to the in the internal gateway when we segregate them. And then if you go to the all these services are backed by the policy fragments, and they are nicely uh, they are they're nicely segregated into bundles, each targeting different functionalities of the OTK, different grant types, response types, the validations, the manage part, which then calls in the persistence layer and the manager layer. So these are all the policy fragments. Now, if you see the service layer and the policy layers are not customizable per se. Then on top of it, you have the customization layer, and you can see a correspondence with the policy fragments. Like every functional area has a corresponding customization, so that you can do customizations of the customizations, and the end you can have desired output output from the OTK. So any questions so far? Okay, let's move on. I think, yeah, Abhishek, you want to take over?
Let me start sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, let me know if you can see my screen.
Yep, it's good.
Great. Yeah. So we'll talk about after installing OTK, what next? So obviously configuring the OTK to suit the needs, right? So this completes the installation. So to tailor the OTK to specific needs, and as Kiran mentioned, we have multiple ways to install OTK: dual gateway, single gateway. So after installing them in a specific way, you have to configure a few things in OTK. Some of them are listed as post-installation steps, and some are standalone configurations that is required to manage the OTK um, and to suit our needs. Okay. Yeah. So how do we configure it? So there are two. It's not like two ways. It's a combination of cluster-wide properties and customization policies. So in this combination of these two, we can configure the OTK to get all the benefits out of it. Okay. So let me first talk about the cluster-wide properties. Okay, so these are gateway customized properties which we are going to leverage, and it's easy and quick change which can be done seamlessly without making any changes to policy or anything. And this can be updated easily using RESTman APIs as well, these cluster-wide properties. Okay, and this will also simplify the post-installation process. For example, uh, in case you're installing OTK, you need to specify the database. So in case you're MySQL, you're good to go because that's the default. If you're using Oracle or some other database, you have to update something. So that can be done using cluster-wide properties going forward. So some of these have been introduced post 4.4.1. That's where we started this journey from 20 odd to 65 today. We have come a long way. We have made sure to make life easier for customers and configuration at fingertips. These cluster-wide properties are helping in a long way. Okay. And I have just listed some of the basic cluster-wide properties which generally are used in most installations. For example, OTK manager brand logo. So it's every customer would like to put their logo there. So that is one cluster-wide property. Then access token lifetime. So this is something a lot of customers customize the lifetime of the token. So that is another thing. And as I said, DB system just before now. So that is another configuration. So we also have a few more, for example, cache, rate limiting enforcement, and uh, the one which we recently introduced regarding FAPI, the FAPI baseline and advanced. So some of these are this is just a tip of iceberg. As you can see, there are 65 different configurations. So I have just run through few of them, and in our demo we will go through a few more. But the comprehensive list, direct link to the documentation is provided here. Maybe later you can go through those. Okay. And second is customization. So from OTK, we implement OAuth and OpenID specifications, and that's a default implementation. There are so many things that can be done beyond, and so many things that needs to be configured. So these can be done using customizations, popularly known as hash policies. These are simple policies which can be written in policy language, configured, and can be used by customers. Okay, and some of them are not just customization. Some of them are extensions of existing logic. They might be. Some of them are completely can be overwritten. So this is these everything, all these things come under OTK customizations. So I have provided some link to where the more information on customizations can be found here, but we'll run through some of the customizations today. Okay, so at a high level, configurations can be uh, we just want to view the configurations from a flow perspective. Okay, let's say we install OTK today. What is the first thing we do in OTK? Create the client, right? So these client creation has a bunch of configurations. Okay, one of them is hashed secret. This is a security thing which we introduced. The other thing is client specific customizations. For example, you have multiple clients, you want to customize few things just for a particular client. Some of those are under that. OAuth manager, the OAuth manager UI, OAuth manager itself can be customized, and they all come under client creation. So after client creation, what next? So we do the authorization, right? That is the first step of our token generation. So here, what is the first thing in authorization? The user authentication that happens. So that can be customized. What Active Directory or what IDP it has to go through, all these things can be customized. Then there is, if you have gone through the the authorization code flow, right? We know there is a consent screen, grant screen, and everything. So there UI customizations can be done. Okay, there is a scope for that, not a great scope, but there is some scope for UI customizations there. Okay, finally, we have this OAuth OpenID flows, right? So this in these flows specifically, we can customize few things. For example, in OAuth 2, we can customize grant types. We can add a new custom grant type. Okay, and then in OpenID, we can customize the discovery, dynamic client registration, ID token claims, signing verification. Okay, so this comes under OpenID, and it on top of all these things, there are a lot of common configurations that can be customized. For example, first is token expiration. It can be access token, refresh token, ID token, auth code. All these token expressions can be customized. Okay, and then audience restrictions. So we have a high level restriction, a basic default restriction, which we have provided. So on top of that, this can be enhanced by the customers. Caching, cache, which includes cache lifetime, cache size, and everything that can be customized. CORS, and finally error handling. Error handling where if the error format or error code is has to be we send it in a different format by default in OTK, but it needs to be updated in a format or anything that can be done in error handling. Okay, so this is a high level areas where customizations can be done in OTK. Beyond this, we have minor things here and there in addition to what we have described here, but this is the high level. Okay, let me know if there are any questions. I will go to some of these. We'll explore some of these things and demo a few of them as well. Yeah. Okay, let me go to some of these. We'll demo some of these. Okay, so first is hashed client secret. So in an organization, the administrator uses probably the OAuth manager, which is shipped with OTK to create, update clients, right? So this client secret is a sensitive field that gets generated during creation. How do we protect it? So the one option what we have provided is hashing the client secret at rest. The moment it is generated, it will be hashed. The first time this information is displayed on the screen, and then it is hashed. So that client secret, if at all it is forgotten or it has to be, it is to be regenerated again. So this is some basic security we are giving on the client secret field. Okay, so the existing clients will not be impacted. They have to be migrated. Okay, couple of clusteroid properties that play a role here are OTK hashed secret enable and OTK hashed secret algorithm. These two cluster properties drive this hashed client secret feature. Okay, let's try to demo. Let's try to see how it works. So if I go to my clusteroid properties, right, let me look out for hash secret enable. It is false right now. And let me enable this, okay, by setting it to true. Okay, and then the secret algorithm is SHA-512, which I have already updated. Okay, now let me try to create a client in OAuth manager. So I'll call it test2. Okay, and you can see the client secret is generated and it's available here. And when I click on register, this client is registered now. You can see the client secret is still displayed, and we are displaying a warning now saying that to copy it. Okay, so let's list the clients again and go to the test2 client, list the keys related to test2. We can see that this secret is hashed now. This is not at all visible. So only and only who creates the client initially will have will be will get the secret, and it has to be copied initially. After that, it cannot be regenerated at any point of time. Okay, this is about hash secrets. Okay, let me let's go to the next. I've also included some TikTok link you can go through later. Okay, there is something called client specific customization. Okay, we have when we see the OAuth manager, right? We have these clients, and one client can have a multiple client keys. It can be linked to multiple client keys. So some of the configurations only limited, like for example, token expiry and some of the others. Okay, only few of them have. We have provided a feature where that can be client specific or client key specific. Okay, when I say client specific, this test2 is a client for me, and there is something called client custom, which is applicable to all the client keys under it. So it's a kind of a global configuration for that particular client. Here you can customize it. Okay, the same way, if I list keys, okay, in this example we have only one key, but you can have multiple keys, right? So again, there will be something called client key custom here. So this can also be customized for a specific client for only specific configurations like expiry. Okay, this is about client specific customization. I have, okay, there is one more reuse refresh token. That's another configuration that also can be customized. Okay. Yeah, I will move on to the next configuration, that is user authentication. So we have a policy called user authentication extension policy. Okay, this policy allows us to configure the IDP basically. So some LDAP or Active Directory or SiteMinder or anything can be configured. Okay, you can also do multiple additional checks after doing the authentication. And there are some attributes that need to be set, which is required by OTK, that are being set today in this particular extension policy. So I have an example here. Okay, user authentication extension, where I have this policy is customized. This is not how we ship. Okay, so by default, only the internal identity provider will be enabled. Okay, what I have done is I have created two branches here, one for the internal identity provider and second for SiteMinder. I have integrated with a CASSO instance here, SiteMinder instance. Okay, so now the authentication can be done with the user belonging to both these identities. Okay, for example, so let me just second. Second. OAuth v2. Okay. So this is OAuth test client, which we ship along with OTK for the customers to get a hands-on on different grant types. So I'll just use the resource owner grant type here. So first I'll use something that is internal to gateway, internal identity provider ship with gateway, where we have some admin user and some ID associated. So I'm able to create token. Okay. So this is with internal identity provider. Now what I'll do is I will use a ID which is part of SiteMinder. Okay. So we can see that we are able to create a token with users but multiple IDPs. Okay, so if we go to the logs, right, we can see that Okay, the CS single sign-on was invoked here. So which means the second login went to the SiteMinder and the first login went to the internal identity provider. So the same way we can configure multiple identity providers in this policy, user authentication, OTK user authentication policy. Okay. Next, I will move on to the some OAuth 2 customizations. Okay. So here we have some customizations related to audience restrictions. Okay. So there are some of the clustered properties are default permitted resources and enable intended audience check. This is like a flag. So these audience restrictions come as part of resource restrictions, which are part of OAuth 2 specifications. Okay, where we have something called resource for which the token should be issued to. So in that use case, these clustered properties, this feature comes into play. Okay, so I'll not go through this. Okay, I will please go through the documentation available here. In the interest of time, I will move to the custom grant types. Okay, so these custom grant types are allowing to go beyond what OTK does as part of a default grant types. We know that password, client credentials, implicit and authorization code are the basic grant types. Beyond that, we have few more. And but if something needs to be customized there, we have an option to do that as well. Okay. For that, we have two policies, one called grant type custom and configured grant types. These two hash policies these two hash policies needs to be updated to support any custom grant type. For example, okay, uh, in this, right? So where is okay configured grant types. Okay, so here what I have done is I have added a grant type called password custom. This is a new grant type. I'm introducing it to the OTK. Okay, so this by adding this custom grant type here, OTK identifies that this is a new grant type which needs to be supported. Okay, so what should be the logic of this grant type? That needs to be updated in the policy called OTK grant type is equal to custom. This policy contains the logic. Okay. For example, if grant type is equal to custom, do these things. Okay. So some of these things cannot be changed. For example, OTK token storage and the parameters that are required for this has to be there. But beyond what is done in OTK, if there are additional checks or anything needs to be done for a specific grant type, these custom grant types can be used. Okay, so let me just try to create a token using this custom grant type now, since I have already configured now. So you can see that instead of grant type password in the request, I'm using password custom. This is the new grant type I'm using. I'm providing the other parameters here. And when I hitting V2 token endpoint, I'm able to create this new grant type. Create a token for this new custom grant type. Okay, so this is how you can leverage custom grant type. Just for this, for the simplicity, right? I would like to show how V2 token looks now after adding the custom grant type. Okay, you can see that in all the grant types are listed here, right? So there is a block for custom. Okay, inside this, whatever customization we just updated, grant type is equal to custom is included. So in the flow, this grant type will be validated and a token will be issued. Okay, this is about custom grant type. I'll just hold on if anybody has any question so far. Okay, So I'll move on to the OpenID customization. There are a bunch of customizations in OpenID, right? Starting from discovery, DCR, that is dynamic client registration, ID token, everything. So let's look into them. So first is discovery. So discovery is nothing but the snapshot of what OTK supports. This is the well-known OpenID configuration endpoint. Return. This is the discovery. It tells what is supported, what is not supported in OTK. So, but these things can also be enforced by customers. If they don't want to support, for example, let's say some particular algorithm or some particular feature, this can be turned off and turned on, okay, based on customer requirements. So this can be customized, okay. So let me just open up the OTK file structure. Okay, here you can see that in the customizations, right, there is a folder called discovery. Okay, there are a bunch of folders here. Here you can see that there are a lot of customization, each for every field that is listed here. Okay, so all this can be customized here. Okay, you can open this policy. There are directions given on how to do it. For example, if you want to override an algorithm, you just, let's take an example. This is OpenID authorization signing algorithm supported. This, so you just have to add a comma separated values of the desired algorithms you want to use. By updating that, the discovery response will change. Okay. So similarly, all of these can be customized. Okay. So let me move on to ID token now. So in ID token, we have some CWPs, cluster-wide properties that are such as ID token lifetime, ID token signing algorithm, and refresh ID token. So if you want to refresh the ID token when you do the refresh token, so these things can be configured here. Beyond this, there are more. I've just listed some of them here. Okay, and so this and ID token claims can also be configured. So previously, right, we did not have this feature. This is something we introduced from 4.6, I think, where we can allow custom claims to be injected into the ID token. Okay, and also validate them. So we have introduced two customizations policies: ODK ID token validate custom claims and allowed custom claims. So these two policies can be updated. For example, okay, let me open allowed custom claims. Okay, here you can add which custom claims. Uh, uh, so how these claims are generated is left to the clients and customers. Okay, but once you have the claim information, you can add it to this particular variable through comma separated values. Okay, allowed custom claims. So when the token gets generated, that token payload will have this particular claim, whatever you have declared here. Okay, and then when you are going to validate, obviously this information needs to be validated, right? So we have something called OTK ID token validate custom claims, where all the claims generated, all the claims after decoding the ID token is listed in a particular variable that needs to be validated. If you want to check these custom claims, they are available and they can be checked here. These policies are shipped empty so that desired claims can be added by customers. Okay, and all the instructions are here as well, how to go about it. Okay, and finally coming to OTK ID token signing and validation. So here we have so many algorithms supported, right? And we also have like private keys. By default, OTK generates the ID tokens using the default SSL key. But obviously we don't want to use that. We want to use our own keys, right? So for that reason, these policies can be used to customize them. Okay, let's take our example here. So there is ID token signing algorithm. Here you can see this is customized now. If I open encode JSON web token, right, you can see that I have updated the private key to test. This is something I have created on my own. By default, it will point to default SSL key, which is of gateways, default SSL key. Okay, so this can be updated here. Okay, similarly for validation also, we have the similar configuration of selecting the recipient key. Okay, using which the ID token signing validation has to be done. Okay, let me just, I have an environment. Okay, I have already created an ID token. Okay, using after customizing, we can, here is the ID token that got generated. Okay, so if we go to and see the header, right, we can see that the KID is test. This is mapped to the test private key, which I have created for this particular testing. Okay, and this algorithm can also be switched. There is a cluster property for that. So all these things can be customized. Okay, so I have provided some tech talks for all of these topics we discussed today. And final topic regarding configuration I want to talk about is how do you migrate this? Okay, so when you do an OTK upgrade, okay, the encapsulated assertions which are there in OTK do not get overwritten. They get overwritten with whatever we have updated. They are anywhere read only for customers, right? The service APIs is something which we have allowed for customization, but it will also be overwritten. Okay, if there's a new code. Okay, cluster-wide properties are not overwritten. They'll be retaining whatever values they had. Okay, coming to hash policies, that customization policies, they will never be updated. They will not be updated. Okay, so there are some cases where there's unavoidable situations where we have updated, but we try not to update it as much as possible. Even if there is an update given, we provide sufficient documentation for customers to understand what was updated in the customizations. Okay, so what are the implications for this? The custom logic might break sometimes. So what customers have to do is they have to review their services and customizations and see what got updated and move that, make those adjustments manually. Okay, this is about how to migrate the customizations. Let me know if you have any questions. I hope I was not very fast and I think there's a lot of information here I can understand. Hopefully what message I wanted to communicate, I was able to do it. Okay, thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks for that. I know there's been a bit of post in the chat. Any questions for the team? Greg, any comments as well?
Yeah, not so far. I think we had one more quick topic with the FAPI update from Raju.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, Raju, do you want me to share, or do you want to share?
I'll share.
Okay.
Hope everyone can see my screen.
Yep.
Okay. Fine. Yeah. So this topic is all about a new standard that is laid down to bring the more high level of security to the original pillars of OAuth and OpenID Connect. So intent is to bring the some profile kind of layers so that that will bring additional or hardening security in order to secure our APIs to meet the customer requirements or implementer requirements. So for example, especially in the open banking, where they definitely require more additional layer of security on top of the OAuth and OpenID Connect. So this FAPI is bringing or defining such kind of additional rules and guidelines. So how that can be hardened, these particular layers. So that's all about the FAPI, but in simplified terms, it's basically bringing well-defined profiles so that can be applied to any implemented OAuth servers. Or see, it's these profiles not only applicable to OAuth servers, but also applicable to clients and resource server too. So we need to be a little careful about enabling them to the production basically, because so we cannot think like these standards only applicable to server, but also for the clients as well as the resource servers. So to get into the more details, FAPI is basically bringing two profiles. One is basic, other one is advanced. And the first one is suitable for protecting the APIs in moderate risk, basically. So in other words, if you have an APIs exposing resources, protected resources only for the read-only operations, this profile might be good enough. But whereas if you allow the users to do some write operations, definitely we need to consider hardening these standards with advanced profile. So that's basically outlined how these profiles to be used. So you will find all these details, especially the FAPI, in the Layer7 API management tech docs as a single point of entry, like I mentioned here as a last bulletin point. So that's a simple introduction about the FAPI, and it's been we started supporting the FAPIs starting from 4.5.1, I think. So and on top of it, we did a couple of more releases that is actually fulfilling additional requirements. So at least in the starting, we completed supporting the basic profile, and if you go on further, you will see more and more addition to satisfy the needs of advanced profile. So in this particular slide, I try to depict what exactly the basic profile and advanced profile in terms of well-known terminology that everybody knows, I expect. Like in the bottom, we have OAuth 2 and OIDC. These are basic minimum pillars to implement the FAPI profiles. So on top of it, we have token introspection, MTLS based client authentication, and also to implement to minimize the risk of access tokens in the wrong hands by by making them certificate based. All these things would come under the basic profile. And when it comes to advanced profile, you will see more hardening, especially from authorization request, authorization code flows, because those flows, if we try to utilize them, that will happen through the front side channel. So because those are going to the front side channel, there is a chance of exploiting the information can be seen from them. For example, authorization request, basically it will be supplied to the authorization server in the means of redirect URL. So URL redirection. So, and also even the authorization response also will be delivered to the client via redirect URL. So how can we harden that is something well defined using advanced profile. So, and also a few of the use cases cannot be solved with standard OAuth flows. So for which these advanced profile is trying to fulfill in the means of additional extensions like push authorization request, and the CBA, that is client initiated back channel authentication. So the push authorization request is basically meant for where if the request JWT is too big that cannot fit in a URL, so probably this is a good way to make use of the push authorization request. So, and whereas in the client initiated back channel authentication, if the initiation happens at the client side, that is not really in the hands of the resource owner, then the authentication can be controlled in this secondary device where that is actually in the hands of resource owner. So those kind of use cases will be handled through CIBA extension. So there are a few more, I believe, but I just highlighted in this picture with basic minimals. So with this, I could set up the FAPI profiles at least to basic minimum. And if you go into the details, so these slides would give you more glimpse. For example, as I told, authorization server, if it is running in the basic profile mode, so definitely to enforce additional requests that cannot be seen in the normal way. Like probably you might make an authorization request without redirect URIs sometimes, but as soon as you enable the FAPI compliance basic profile, so a authorization server will reject the authorization request if it doesn't contain redirect URI. So something like that, you will see a lot of additional requirements to fulfill well-defined authorization request to the server. So these are very much required in order to make your client application to perform the authorization flows. So that means, in other words, your client's application should be ready to face the authorization servers that are running in the FAPI compliance, either in the basic or advanced profile. And when it comes to resource server, probably without these profiles, maybe access tokens will be entertained if they are passed via query parameters, but no longer the same case if the resource server is running in the basic profile. So this is one of the noticeable requirement I would like to bring to your notice. And this is about the advanced. So basically it's talking about how to harden the authorization request and authorization response and certain algorithms that will be used in generating the JWTs basically. So that's all about in this slide I would like to bring to your notice, but there are a few more. You will find all of them from TechDocs, I believe. And do we have a time, or should we face the questions? Is something I will leave it to
Let's
you.
jump to question. I think we're coming up the end of the hour here.
No questions?
Well, there's a question. Does anyone want to see a quick SIBA demo? Are you able to show a quick SIBA demo?
Yeah.
Can do if people are interested.
We have 5 minutes, David, if you want to do it.
Greg, can I go for a simple demo for this, or?
Yeah, I was just trying to share my screen actually.
Okay, fine. I'm stop sharing.
Okay, so for SIBA, as you've said already, the key thing is that it's client initiated. It's from the client system. It's not from the browser. There's a few things you need to do. You need to sign login hint JWTs. You need to sign client insertion, client request, and then you submit the authorization request with those bits and pieces in there. So if I run that through, the net result is the response from the authorization request. If you then go and poll the results, you can see that it says that authorization is still pending on the customer's device. And the idea is that as part of that authorization process, you somehow send out, I don't know, a push notification to a mobile, and then the user's going to authenticate on that device. If you do it too quickly, you can see there's a rate limiter on there that kicks in and says, please slow down the polling. So anyway, leap of faith here, the customer goes off, actually authenticates on the device, and somehow signals back to the authorization server that the authorization status is accepted. Get a response there. And if you go for the token the second time around, there, you've got your access token and your ID token that's come back from that one. Same sort of thing, if you run the collection again, but this time you say rejected, again, that's accepted. And if you go back for the system poll, get the response there telling you that the authentication request was rejected. So yeah, that's the SEPA flow.
Thanks, David.
Thanks.
Any other questions or suggestions? Greg, anything else you wanted to share around OTK?
So there's a question, how do I get my mobile clients with sensitive data on board on FAPI protocol? Is there a journey page? Are these mobile SDK, like using the Layer7 SDK, or are these just in general mobile clients adhering to just the OAuth specification? So correct me if I'm wrong, Raju and team, but okay, yeah. So for without the SDK, any recommendations for how to quickly get clients on board? I assume the clients will need to be updated to adhere to the more stricter requirements, right?
It's correct. So especially if we choose the basic profile, so some of the existing client authentication modes cannot be accepted. So only a few subsets will be entertained. So we need to understand more or less we should be using JWKS while registering the client for authentication. So if it is client secret JWT or private key JWT or MTLS based, so that would be good enough for making the client allowed to for any flows basically. So here we have to make use of client key custom and also other fields to define to meet the needs of these FAPI profiles.
Yeah, and there are also some restrictions on native clients, strict bit of tightening of the protocols that they can use. So we can refer to that documentation also.
Okay, thanks. I also see a question about the plan for FAPI certification. So right now we're not planning to be officially certified. I think based on what I've seen, usually like the implementations are certified, but we are running the FAPI compliance suite against our OTK configured for FAPI. And so, we can certainly share those results at any time if anyone would like to see those. But yeah, we're ensuring we're compliant, but we're not officially certifying and getting registered on the OpenID site or anything like that. Okay. If no other questions, I just posted a comment in the chat about an experimental feature. There is a gateway assertion being created to act as a OAuth client to do token introspection and token validation. Definitely encourage you to check that out on the community. It's compatible with our OAuth toolkit, and it, basically the use case is if you want to enforce OAuth token, presence and validity within the kind of API security flow in the gateway, without actually having to install the OAuth toolkit on every gateway in that case, or at least the client portion of that. This assertion basically simplifies the client side of that, so it will be compatible and validate against the Layer 7 OAuth toolkit, as well as other standards-based OAuth providers. So definitely encourage you to check that out.
Cool. Okay, well, we've run over by a couple of minutes, but I think that session was crazy useful. We will obviously, as always, post that in the community in the next couple of days. And any questions or follow-up, please feel free to reach out by the community or direct to us at Broadcom.
And I'm going to chime in on top of Aaron. There's going to be a slight delay on getting it posted because I'm actually out of the country for the next couple of weeks. But as soon as I get back first week of June, I will absolutely get it posted up on communities as well as an update for the next office hours.
Okay, cool. All right, thanks to everyone who contributed, including David there, just jumping in ad hoc. That was really nice of you, David. Thank you. Maybe you've just set yourself up to do an office hours from your perspective in the future, but we can talk about that another time. Yeah, thanks, everybody.
Thank you.